Hello and welcome to my home kitchen for another round of Cupcake Jemma Cooks the Books. And today I'm actually going back into the archives because I really fancied making something I keep seeing someone make on Instagram. And it's a very special somebody. It's my friend Ravneet Gill. And this recipe is for her twice baked chocolate cake, and it's from her very first book, The Pastry Chef's Guide, which, oh, hello, if I line that up. It is a treasure trove of basics for a pastry chef. So you don't have to be an actual pastry chef. You can just be a hobby chef. You could just really like baking or really like sweet things, or you could just, I don't know, really like cookbooks and never bake a thing. But the fact is, this is a great book with lots and lots of wonderful information in. She goes from really basic things like all the different kinds of custards to loads of different kinds of sponges. And this cake, the twice baked chocolate cake, I keep seeing her bake it on her Instagram. So she obviously loves it a lot because it keeps kind of popping up. She keeps making it for people. She's never made it for me, just saying. But anyway, it doesn't matter because I'm gonna give it a go myself in my own kitchen. And I'm imagining, based on the pictures on her Instagram, it's a little bit like a sort of spongy base with a sort of moussey top, but you use the same batter, so it's really clever. And she developed it when she was working at St. John restaurant, and she was a pastry chef there. And I'm gonna give it a go because it looks delicious. I fancy something chocolatey. It's kind of cold outside. A cool autumnal day. Here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do, well, the first thing I have done is I've got my oven preheated to 170 degrees C, and that is a fan assisted oven. So if you don't have a fan, that'll be like 190 or something. No, I'll check the book. That's correct. Or 375 degrees Fahrenheit, if you're that way inclined. And the other thing I did was I greased and lined a springform pan. So this is an 8-inch springform. Springform pans are the ones with these little like collars on the front. And I actually didn't have one of these tins. Well, technically I did have one. I did a load of tin clear outs, and my neighbor grabbed a bunch of these tins. So I actually had to text her this morning and say, hey, you know that tin you grabbed, please may I borrow it? So thank you to Georgie for loaning me back my previously owned springform pan. So it's an 8-inch, I've greased it with butter, I've lined it with greaseproof, and now the next thing to do is to melt the chocolate and the butter together. So I've got a bain-marie and I have a heat-proof bowl, and into that I'm going to put 240 grams of dark chocolate and 240 grams of unsalted butter. This can be straight from the fridge, just chopped into pieces. Set that over your bain-marie and then just heat that gently. Give it a stir every now and then just to melt those bits and bobs together. And when it's all combined, take it off the heat and leave it to cool slightly. So my chocolate and butter mixture is cooling down over here. It's lovely and smooth and it smells really good. So now we need to get on with making the batter. Now this is a flourless cake, so accidentally gluten-free, which is great. The next thing we're gonna do is separate some eggs because this is gonna be a case of whipping your egg yolks and sugar and your egg whites and sugar, folding them together, adding some cocoa. It's gonna be great. So I have 7 large free-range eggs here, and I'm gonna start by separating them into some bowls. So I've got my eggs split up, my 7 egg yolks, my 7 egg whites, and I'm going to add the sugars. So there's 260 grams caster sugar in total. 100 grams will be going in the egg whites, and 160 grams are going into the egg yolks. And I'm gonna whip those up first using my hand whisk until they're really, really pale and fluffy. And then at the same time, I have my stand mixer here, and I've got my egg whites with the remaining sugar, and I'm gonna whisk those together until they reach soft peaks. Now I've transferred my chocolate mixture to a bigger bowl just because I didn't think that little metal number could handle all of this mixture. And first of all, I'm going to pour the yolk mixture into the chocolate and just stir that together. Once that's all combined, you need to add your egg whites. So I'm gonna do this in 3 stages, folding each addition really carefully, just using gentle movements and my sharp rubber spatula. Or you could do this with a metal spoon if you like. Then when all the egg whites are incorporated, you need to sift in cocoa powder. And I have 15 grams here. Just gonna sift that through, get rid of any lumps, and then carefully fold that through the whole mixture as well. Once it's all combined and there are no obvious blobs of white meringue or dusty cocoa powder, you can grab your springform pan. Now, the important thing to remember is don't go into autopilot and dump the whole lot in, because you're going to put half of this batter in. Level it out a little bit, and then you need to bake that section of the cake for 45 minutes at 170 degrees C fan. Now, I'm a little bit confused by this, and that's because I've never made it before, but hopefully all will be revealed in the bake. Obviously, we've whipped all of that lovely egg white and mixed it all in really carefully, and now we're just kind of letting half that batter sit there. And I'm a bit concerned that it's going to change the consistency, or I don't know, like already my spoon sort of can scoop it rather than pour it. So I guess we'll wait and see. Rav obviously knows what she's doing, she's an expert. And when the cake is risen and the skewer comes out completely clean, take it out of the oven and leave it to cool a little bit. Meanwhile, turn down the oven to 160 degrees C. So once the cake's had like 10-15 minutes to cool down, you then need to level it off a little bit. So Rav suggests you kind of press the edges down. I'm doing it with a palette knife, and you just want to try and make that top as level as possible. And then you have to put the rest of the batter on and bake at 160 for 25 to 30 minutes until the outer edges have risen and the middle is slightly soft and jiggly. What Rav says here is that the way that you achieve these two textures is that you overcook the first half and you kind of undercook the second half. So I'm guessing the first layer, the bottom layer, is going to be like nice and sort of spongy but firm, and then the top is going to be hopefully sort of nice and fudgy and almost brownie-like, maybe a bit moussey, I don't know. But it's in the oven. It's going to bake at 160 for 25 to 30 minutes. I'm looking for a jiggly texture, so I'm going to give it a little wiggle when the timer's up, and we'll see how we get on. Look at that. It is squishy and moussey, and maybe I slightly underdid it. I did actually take it out a couple of minutes early because I was just a bit paranoid that I wouldn't get that sort of fudginess, but I think this looks pretty good. Oh my God. This might be the richest and yet lightest chocolate cake I've ever put in my mouth. I didn't have any creme fraiche with me, so I did have double cream, so I poured that on. And the base is sort of brownie-like. Well, not quite brownie-like, because it's not like dense. It's really light, because there's obviously no flour in there. It's just eggs, sugar, chocolate and cocoa and butter. So while this is super rich because of all that wonderful dark chocolate we've got in there, it's really airy and light. Just look at it. It's amazing. I love this. I can't get enough. Rav says in her book that it's best eaten on the day, but I'm guessing if you put it in the fridge, it'll kind of firm up a little bit, and maybe that's why. But anyway, I don't think this is gonna last 24 hours because I have lots of lovely neighbors who love my baked goods. I have a WhatsApp group, especially for my leftovers. And of course, I've got to give Georgie back her tin, and it'll have a piece of this in it. So thank you, Rav. I've really enjoyed sharing this with you. Not you, Rav, you already shared it with us. But anyway, I've enjoyed sharing it with you guys out there watching. Please give it a go. make sure you grab yourself a copy of the Pastry Chef's Guide. Now, she has got 2 other books. They're on my shelf. We've got Baking for Pleasure, which is like exactly what you expect. It's recipes that you just want to bake because you love baking and it's fun and you love to share. And we've also got Sugar I Love You, which is another lovely book, an ode to sugar and sweet stuff. And it's just lovely. But I will keep coming back to a Pastry Chef's Guide whenever I want to know anything technical, or I just want to sort of sense check like my recipes, or sense check anything like creme anglaises and creme pâtes and things. There's really good sections in it about ganache and like troubleshooting, like what can go wrong. It's great, and it's just full of really yummy recipes as well as really brilliant tips and tricks. So make sure you get yourself a copy of the Pastry Chef's Guide. If you don't follow her yet, please do follow Rav on Instagram. And of course, she is one of the judges on Junior Bake Off, a post which one day, maybe when she retires, they'll offer it to me. I'm just, putting it out there. If you don't know about Junior Bake Off, I don't know where you've been, hiding under a crazy bake-free rock. She is a co-judge on that, and she's brilliant. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of her, huge fan of her work, and massive fan of Junior Bake Off. And I'm also a big fan of you. Thank you so much for joining me. I've really enjoyed sharing this recipe with you. I love cooking the books at home, mainly because I get to just, make a mess, and it's my home. I don't have to worry about anyone else coming in, apart from my husband, who is just used to my mess. Anyway, I've got to go and pick up Eden from nursery. No, I've got to go and pick her up from school because she's a school child. Crazy. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I'm just waffling now, so I will see you soon. Lots of love. Bye.
Sorry for my presence.
No.
I can definitely go away for a bit.
Yeah, just go away. I'm filming.
I'm going away now.
Be gone. I'm going to wait for you to go because the door will shut.
Alright. Have a quick wee then.
That's okay.